everyone, welcome to another video. I am going to be moving on to the next one in the Oden's Eye Perfect World collection, and I'm going to be doing 2 looks, maybe 3, but likely 2, using Sea Talk. I do watch Lauren May's videos. I particularly love watching her recommendations of sparkly shadows because I love how she loves sparkly stuff, because that means that I always have a really great resource for whatever she's picking up, and I do find her swatches to be very in-depth and thorough, and she's really great at describing the finish and color of things, so really looking forward to this. Now at the time that I'm filming this, it has just been restocked for the last time, so after this restock they will no longer be available for whatever reason what Oden's Eye said. So if you do want to get your hands on it, then they are limited. Now they are pretty expensive too, so just, you know, use your own judgment there. So I'm going to use a Sigma Exact blend, and I'm going to start off with Electric Kelp here. It is very rainy and depressing outside, so I did turn the ISO up. I feel like it does make things look a little bit washed out, but I did get a replacement lighting from the Amazon seller that I got my broken light from, the one that died. They did send me a replacement, so I will be installing that as soon as possible. I have not been super happy with how weird my lighting looks without my 2 lights. So as you can see, Electric Kelp has a definite sheen to it, but it's definitely not metallic or sparkly. It just kind of has a very soft satiny sheen, and I feel like the reason they did this was so that it would lay down better without blending away. So this is gonna go all in the inner corner. I've definitely done yellow inner corners before, so this is not anything particularly special. However, this is definitely not a yellow. As you can see, it has a much more neon lime quality to it, so it is a very, very yellow leaning green. So Electric Kelp to me is honestly a pretty fitting name. Now I don't know how much of these palettes were actually created by the influencers that Oden's Eye chose. Sounded to me like Oden's Eye kind of assigned a theme to all 3 of them. So I'm just gonna stick Dolphin Tail down here, and I definitely feel like this was the second palette I was the most interested in, and I will be honest, it was pretty much specifically for Smoky Pearl and Dolphin Tail because cool tones. I do have a healing pimple right here. It is covered by the tinted eyeshadow base from NARS, but it is right here, it is healing, so if the eyeshadow blends weird right around that bump, then please excuse it. It was so bad for the past 2 or 3 days, but it's finally starting to heal. I do not like getting eyelid pimples. Matte does feel a little bit harder pressed in the pan. We'll see if a natural hair brush can pick it up better. And I'll blend it out later. And then I do kind of also want to use Driftwood and help. I feel like Driftwood will be a good shade to use between Electric Kelp and Dolphin Tail. I kind of like that there's both Driftwood and Dolphin Tail in here. I feel like it gives you options to pull the look more warmer, more cool. And that's going to kind of be the shape I want the look to go for, is this shape here. I think the scale embossings on the pans are also really cute. I have had an extremely long and tiring week. I had to go back and forth to cardiology for tests, and I'm like so paranoid that the tests are just gonna come back looking completely normal. And as of right now, I'm wearing that 48-hour heart monitor, and my skin does not like having stuff on it for a really long time, so where the stickers are on my skin, I can feel them itching. Okay, so as you can see, I have now established the overarching frame of the look on both eyes. So I'm now going to start working on the lower lash line. I'm going to take a smaller brush, so I'm going to use Driftwood. No fallout so far. Okay, so that's what this look is looking like right now. Just got the mattes framed out, so I'm gonna just go straight into the shimmers. And the first shimmer I'm going to use is definitely, of course, going to be Smoky Pearl. Like, that was the whole reason for me to get this look set up, was so I could use a Smoky Pearl. And this shade is just going to kind of be dumped all across the middle of the eyelid. It does have less base pigment than I expected, but I am also using it with a brush. But as you can see, it definitely has really nice cool reflex, really pretty. It is definitely a beautiful eyeshadow, so I'm very pleased with this. I'm gonna use my finger to just kind of smooth it out. That's like the only downside, is that I've always wanted to have longer nails, but it does make doing my makeup a little bit more irritating. I do wish I could add more depth without having to resort to using the blues though, but the other thing is that I do feel like if I wanted to use an inner corner highlight that wasn't electric kelp, I would have to use something else. You know, that's completely fine. You know, obviously it's just this is the way the palette's set up, and it has 10 shades and you can very easily go and pull into your own highlighters or whatever. So I am going to go ahead and take Smoky Pearl on the lower lash line. I want the lower lash line to be sparkly, but I don't want it to stand out. I do really want some added depth, so I am going to try Ocean Jewel. Now, this shade in the Christmas palette gave me a lot of fallout and was very difficult to work with. As I've said before, these kinds of dark shades tend to be very unforgiving because they're so dark that if you don't apply a perfectly even layer, it will look patchy really fast. Like, there is just no room for error. So I'm gonna take, they also can be prone to fallout, so I am gonna just take this shade right on the outer part. I just want to emphasize the depth of the winged part of the eyeshadow. Here's what it is. You can see it does have some, it doesn't have too much of a base to it, so it's mostly the sparkle. Okay, that's not bad, and you can see when I look from the front, you can see that there's depth, and then when I turn to the side, there's reflect. So okay, not bad. I will accept that. Yeah, okay, that's pretty cute, honestly. So I do want to take a very fluffy brush, and I'm gonna go into Dolphin Tail, and I'm just going to use this shade to very gently make sure everything is blended out, and that Dolphin Tail can kind of help gradate everything out. Like, you can honestly, it like almost barely didn't make a difference, but it's just important for me personally. I just want everything to be nice and tidy. This little gap where I have the disconnect, I'm gonna fill it in with just a very light layer of Dolphin Tail just so that it's not completely blank. And then I'm just gonna blend out the bottom of the eyeshadow again with more Dolphin Tail, being careful to not make it look like I bruised myself, of course. I think this is about as good as it's going to get. I am going to go ahead though and take a completely clean brush, and I just want to make sure that electric kelp is blended on my inner corners because I did apply it kind of rough. And then I do feel like this look could potentially benefit from a sparkly topper just to kind of, especially to go across this transition area, which I know it's kind of cheating. So I am going to take the highlighter in the Flower Nose Chocolate Wonder Shop palette because I am going to go ahead and finish off my look using this highlighter. And then I'm also going to put it on the very inner part to brighten it up for an inner corner highlight. And then I'm going to take a smaller brush and I'm going to go into the same highlighter, and I'm just going to use that to right here where I usually put things. That has not changed. At the time that I'm filming this, I have seen the new Flower Nose collection teasers. Yes, I will be buying it. I am glad they give such a long lead time for when things are releasing, so I have plenty of time to plan. As far as I can tell, it's releasing April 20th, so thank goodness. So this is going to be the finished eye look. Very simple and easy. I am going to only use mascara because I will be out and I honestly don't want to have to bring lash glue with me, so I'm gonna finish off all my makeup off camera and then I'll be back. Okay, this is going to be my finished look. I just very hastily had to slap things on because honestly I'm actually running late for dinner with my parents. So for the blush, I used two blushes. I used on the outer part, I used Pat McGrath Labs Nude Venus 2. It is the one with the, I think, the holiday embossing. I got it on like super sale though. Like, I definitely did not pay full price for this. It's really cute though. And then for the inside of my face, for that kind of lilac lilac tinge to match with the coolness of the look, I use Suku 105. It's actually a lot less pigmented on my face than I thought it would be. And then for the highlighter, as I mentioned earlier, I used the highlighter from the Flower Nose Chocolate Shop Contour Palette. As you can see, it just has a really beautiful glimmer on my face and also on my nose. I just used mascara for this look, so my lashes are looking okay. I mean, they're visible, they're hanging in there. Leave things be. I thought about adding eyeliner, but I'm honestly in such a rush, I don't have that kind of time. And then for my lips, I line my lips and then I use the Roman Juicy Lasting Tint in the shade Deep Sangria, which is a cooler red. It definitely has a lot more blue to it, almost feels purple. My eyes honestly feel really foggy and hazy, and I didn't do that on purpose, so I don't really feel like I like it. And so I have a darker lip to make the look still look clean and defined. You will see the second look in a couple seconds. I will work on it if I can Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed this look, and then you guys will see the second look. Bye bye. Hi everyone, I'm back to do look number 2. I'll be honest, I kind of feel like I'm just pushing through this just to get it out of the way. I'm really not feeling like I'm super enjoying this process of filming with these, which usually. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to start off with Night Swim, which is this really pretty shade here. And then I think I still need to use this shade. And then I think I need to use Sunken Treasure, I think is what I need to do. So I'll figure out how to slot those in, but I'm going to go in with Night Swim first. And I'm using a somewhat softer synthetic brush, so we'll see. I am using a pretty tacky eye primer today, and of course, as always, I don't set it. So hopefully that will help the shadow stick on. Generally speaking, so far, I've had a really great experience with the mattes in these palettes, except for that one color in Flora Story. Yeah, this shadow is applying pretty easily. I am getting some nice pigmentation out of it. Yeah, I like that so far. My workspace by my desk, I need to figure out what's going on, but my workspace is so dark. I feel like if I could make my workspace brighter, it'll be easier for me to actually see what I'm looking at, because shadows look a lot darker on my desk than they do on my eyes. And it's not because the eyeshadows are deceiving, it's because my workspace is actually super dimly lit. So I really need to figure out a remedy for that. And I feel like once I brighten up my workspace, it'll also automatically make my video production quality look way better because the lighting will be more consistent. But as of right now, my makeup desk area is so dark, it's like perpetually cast in shadow, and I like totally need to fix this. I'm just gonna go straight into some of the shimmers while my eyeshadow primer is still tacky. So I'm going to go into Sea Spray. Seems to pick up alright. I'm just using a brush from Laura Lee. Some of her brush sets, it seemed like they were like limited. It seemed kind of strange to me. I don't know why you'd make a brush set limited. So I don't actually know if this particular brush is still available. Alright, so on a brush you can see it's kind of more got like a sparkly topper-esque quality. I could see this being a very pretty transforming shade if I had something on underneath, but I'm just putting it over my bare lid. So now I'm gonna go into Sunken Treasure, which is that more coppery shimmer. I was hoping that either of these would have a little bit more base pigment to them so that I can create kind of a gradient. Yeah, well, I mean, it looks okay. Not quite what I was expecting. When you mix shimmers together, it honestly is kind of hard to make it look bad, so even if it doesn't turn out the way you liked, it still looks pretty good. Like, this still looks pretty good. I'm not really feeling the thickness on my eyes either from all the layers that I'm applying. It does feel really nice. I'm not the biggest fan of shimmers that are super, super heavy feeling, like when I blink I can feel them. I'm really not hugest fan of those. Do pick up pretty well. I'm using these dry. Okay, so if I go in really heavy with my brush like this, suddenly I can get a much more opaque, smooth foiled layer. So I'm going to try to go in a little bit heavy, more heavy-handed. Okay, but with that heavy layer, now I can feel it when I blink. Yeah, so now if I get that opaque foiled effect, it feels heavier now. I can definitely kind of feel it as I blink. Well, that's a bummer because they felt really nice and light when I was applying a thinner layer, but I have so far had pretty good experience with the wear time of these shadows. Yeah, see, you can actually see the heaviness of my eyelids as they fold in on themselves. You can kind of see the fold being affected by the thickness of the eyeshadow. Okay, so I am gonna go back in to Night Swim. This is the darkest matte in the palette, and it is quite nice so far. It's been pretty easy to work with. I am getting like a little bit of fallout though. I'm kind of debating getting rid of my Luxie brushes or not. I feel like I get more fallout when I use them than when I use my other brushes. I'm not sure yet. Still I'm trying to work on my lighting. I feel like my lighting is so side heavy. Kind of makes the shadows look a bit messier or more different than they are in real life. But you can see I was able to intensify Night Swim a lot. And then I will just take the remainder and start doing the lower lash line. I do have to be careful whenever I use blues though on my lower lash line because I can one wrong move and I look like I'm bruised. So I'm just gonna focus it on the outer part. If I drag it too close to my inner corner, it's gonna start looking a little bit strange. Yeah, that definitely suddenly turned the look a little bit more grungy and smoky, especially because I blew it out a little bit more. So now I'm going to go into Driftwood, which is a warmer brown, so not super like matching all the other shades in this palette, but I'll just stick it right here. I really want to make my lower lash line look a bit darker, so I'll use this on the inner corner, and it does mix in nicely with Night Swim. This brown has a very red undertone to it, so it's gonna mix with the blue and create a really odd purple effect. And I do want to darken up closer to the lash line just a little bit, so I'll just use this same shade. Generally, you're not really supposed to put mattes on top of shimmers, but you can see it's still able to darken that up nicely. Yeah, you see it still makes quite a difference, even though you can't really see it. I do want to use Ocean Jewel on the lower lash line because I want to keep the lower lash line pretty dark. So what I'm going to do, because I don't want fallout everywhere, because this is one of those shades that scares me a little bit, is I'm going to take a little bit of my NYX glitter glue first. The glitter glue also let it kind of apply a thicker layer so it doesn't look as patchy. And then I do want to go ahead and use Sea Spray on the inner corner just for a little bit of brightness. And I did apply glitter glue pretty much all the way up to the inner part of my eyelid. Yeah, I don't really want a super bright and glittery lower lash line today, so it's mostly just being kept nice and dark. I'm going to take a very tiny blending brush and I'm going to go into Driftwood just a little bit. I do still want Driftwood to be somewhat visible underneath all of this. You can see I'm just making it just ever so slightly, it's peeking out. Alright, so that's gonna be the look so far. Really pretty. I do think I need to add just a little bit more of Sea Spray, just like especially over here, it's not going up as high. And I'm just gonna lightly tap on my eyelid because I don't want there to be a super heavy layer so that it's symmetrical. Super pretty for sure. Okay, so now I just need an inner corner highlight, so I think I will go ahead and use, I think honestly the pink would be really great because it'll really contrast with the reddish hues of the brown, and yeah, there's a lot of like red undertones, a little bit of a feeling of like kind of purpleness to this, so I think the pink will do. This pink is pretty chunky, so I'm just going to lay it down. I'm gonna really press it on so that it doesn't create fallout. Oh yeah, I forgot this pink also has some shift to it. It has some blue shifts to it, so it'll really go well with this look. Yep, I just had a giant flake fall off my face. Yeah, this shade almost feels like it should contain plastic chunks of glitter. That's how thick the flakes are. But I didn't see it in the ingredients list, so. And then I'll just tap a little bit right here just so that there's some continuity. I would just definitely, you have to be very careful with application, really like kind of pack it on, be very slow with your application or else it's going to fall everywhere, or just, you know, you'll want to use a glitter glue of some kind. I didn't use glitter glue in the inner corner, but you saw I had to really be careful about how I packed it on. Okay, so my eyes are glittering and I'm not mad about it. This is really nice. So I'm going to finish off the rest of my makeup and I will be right back. I definitely need to get my bangs trimmed eventually. I just have been spectacularly lazy. One of my eyelashes is kind of on the verge of flying away. My inner corners just sometimes don't want to stay on. Hopefully it'll stay at least until this video ends. But here is my finished look. As you can see, I went pretty heavy with the blush. I just really like the look of like blue and pink together. So if I do blue eyeshadow, I almost invariably end up doing either barely any blush or a ton of pink blush, and I just went with the pink blush option today. I feel like so far my biggest issue with the Oden's Eye Perfect World collection has been my inability to create a look that is precise and clean. I feel like all of my looks end up kind of looking a little bit messy. Like, I cannot get a foiled look where I want it, and I cannot top it off with a glitter look where I want to. It just kind of ends up looking like a glitter explosion all over my eyelids, as opposed to my usual kind of style where I tend to have very specific finishes I'm going after and I place them in very specific areas. I'm not really able to do that approach with these shadows. Now, it may be that that was not the intent behind this palette, and specifically with Sea Talk, I can definitely understand. I know Lauren May's shadow preferences, and this does feel very on brand for her. But I had a similar experience with Florastory. I do think the colors get along a little bit better in this palette than in Florastory. Florastory surprised me. I thought it would be my favorite. That's the one I was definitely the most excited for, which is why I filmed with it first, and I ended up not really creating looks I liked from it at all. Now, I could chalk it up to, as I mentioned in that video, just not feeling well. Maybe my creativity wasn't there, but I just really was surprised at how much I had to kind of force myself to work with it. My looks all just kind of turn out looking like I kind of lost control of the shadows. They just kind of went everywhere. I'm not really having clean gradients where I want them. Everything just kind of a little bit muddy-ish, flattish. It's just not got the level of polish and precision that I generally go for when I'm structuring my eyeshadow looks. Now, is this still a pretty look? Like, yes, objectively I think it is still, you know, it's pretty, but I just feel like I personally prefer to be able to get a lot more finesse out of where I'm putting things, if that makes really any sense. It can definitely work in some cases. I can see, especially this palette does definitely feel like it has Lauren May Beauty written all over it, because I know she really likes those kinds of explosive glittery looks that are very blown out. And I can definitely see, especially with the shade Sea Spray right here, this shade is definitely one of the star ones in this palette, where you can see the glossy effect on the top of my look it creates. It almost feels borderline transformative. But then you had a shade like Sunken Treasure, which to me read like it should be more foiled and have more of that opaque pigmentation, but when I first applied it with a brush, it was kind of just this messy, sparkly kind of mess. And then when I finally did get it to look foiled, it felt really thick on my eyelids. I can feel it when I blink. It's kind of making my monolids look a little bit crinkled. Not really the best look ever, and I know Oden's Eye can do foiled smooth shimmers because I've seen them do it before. Objectively speaking, in the eyeshadow world, these are definitely not bad, and the mattes have so far been very pleasurable to work with. I just know specifically within the context of what Oden's Eye has produced before, Oden's Eye can definitely do better. And I hope they do better, and on that topic, I do hope that in future collaborations they are more thoughtful about the diversity of creators they're choosing to collaborate with. For the blush, I used all three in some variation cream shades. I kind of mixed these two for my cheeks, and then to connect the eyeshadow to the blush, I used this, and I just have it tucked right here. It's like right here connecting the eyeshadow. I blended it out using this milky pastel shade from the Etude House Year of the Cow collection. And then for my highlighter, I used Kaleidos Skywalker, this shade here. So it's pretty glittery. And then for my nose, I used Aria from Flower Nose. It has much more white than blue. It can still be blue from certain angles, but it is far more white than blue, so it's a little bit more suitable for my nose. You can see on the brow arch area, and you can see the blue come through there a little bit better. Threw in a yellow eyeliner in the waterline, but I'm telling you guys, it is so hard to find a true yellow eyeliner for the waterline. This one is from Shiseido, and it looked way different on the back of my hand than in my waterline, and I'm not happy. When will I find a yellow eyeliner for the waterline? I don't know. We'll keep looking, I guess. And then I didn't need much bronzer or contour at all because my blush is so heavy. I don't know how people stack bronzer, blush, and contour. I just could not do it. I feel like maybe my face has just not got the room for that. But I did use just a little bit of Hoola Glow, and I just threw it just literally right on the outside edge just to add a little bit of dimension. For my lips, I lined my lips, and then I used a darker lip liner to kind of contour and do a gradation lip on the inside of my lips, and then I went over all of it with the Dior Lip Glow Oil in pink. And this shade almost feels like a pH kind of silliness, where once I put it on my lips, it does turn pinker than it looks in the tube. After like 2 minutes or so, it looks very, very pink. But in the tube, it does look very sheer, but it actually will come out looking a lot more pink than you think it does. It's really nice though. This is like, this shade is kind of, it sneaks up on you. When I first got it, I thought it was a total waste of money, but it's actually really, really pretty. Okay, and so with that, I'm going to finish my rambling, and I'm going to end the video here. So I hope that this video helped you guys, and if you guys are not planning on getting this palette, or if it is sold out by the time I upload this, I am sure you guys can totally replicate this look using other shades in your collection. If you have any more questions about this palette or anything, definitely feel free to ask. Thank you guys so much for watching until the end. As always, I really truly love and am perpetually amazed that people choose to watch my videos. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.